Have you held them in? Okay, now you may release the skirt.
Okay.
Welcome back to our weekly screaming sesh. Featuring lots of instruments and Twilight sometimes. This this week's podcast is going to be brought to you by Gamer Dreams and Appreciating Art.
I like one of those. This week's podcast is also brought to you by Stealth Halloweens and The Boogie Woman.
Oh, I am your host, Madison.
I'm your other host, Jesse James. You got your ukulele. I assume you're going to play us in?
Oh, yeah. I can do that. Here we go.
Let me get the tone. There we go. Perfect.
Yay! 2 chords. I do know 2.
I mean, you only need like 3, and then you're good to go.
That's true. Yeah, for the most part. I think there's trash being emptied or something outside in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Spooky hour. So what concoction do you have this week?
Here's my spooky addition to
Ooh.
to the so I don't have a blender. So this is sake that I have pulverized and then agitated blueberries into.
That sounds good.
And it also has a pretty liberal amount of cinnamon and a little bit of cayenne pepper in it. So let's see if it worked. It's pretty mild. Maybe could have used a little more pepper, but it does get the spicy cobbler effect through. It's just enough cayenne pepper. It's like maybe a half a tablespoon or less to be a little bit warm, and that's pretty much what I was going for.
That's a good idea. I like the idea of spicy cobbler. Never seen that done before.
Cinnamon and spice goes together really well, so I tend to think anything that's cinnamon heavy is probably worth giving a shot with some of that kind of stuff. But I would suggest this. I think I'm probably going to have a long, sort of gross battle with this that may not even be able to all happen on the podcast once I get down to, let's say, here.
Yeah.
But for now, it's pretty good.
Well, that's good.
I haven't opened this, so it might not get opened, but I also have some tiny dill pickles over here.
That's a pretty solid snack item.
I don't have a tiny fork with me, so I might have to just improvise if it comes to that.
The tiny cutlery, I think, is the best part of eating small pickles.
I have several lobster forks, and I do not eat lobsters very often. So
pickles more often than lobster.
They are now pickle forks.
Yeah.
And then, of course, these are on sale again, so I have more chicken and a biscuit.
Ooh, a classic.
Unofficial 8th member of the podcast at this point, chicken and a biscuit.
Yeah. A while since I've had a chicken and a biscuit. Sounds pretty good. I don't have anything nearly as exciting as your concoction, although I do have a tea latte, I guess.
What flavor?
Mint tea, and then I think there's I think they put some like peppermint syrup in it, so
Okay.
it's pretty minty, which I do enjoy. So
I like a tea latte.
It's been a while since I've had it. I've had a lot of coffee lately, so I was like, time to switch it up. I've I've done the pumpkin spice, all the pumpkin stuff for a while, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of ready to switch it up. So did this. I actually made a like a buttered rum mix, like a butter batter kind of thing. And
Yes.
I was
Did you use
going
ice cream
to
with it?
no,
Okay. There's a
I did
version that
not.
uses French vanilla ice cream, and then you have to keep it in the freezer.
Yeah.
And I need to learn how to make that because it's ridiculous.
That sounds really good. But I actually, mine was very like makeshift. I don't have a lot or some of the ingredients that you're supposed to have. So
Okay.
mine was mostly just like butter and I did have sugar. I didn't have brown sugar, but
Hmm.
I had sugar and then like various spices, nutmeg, and I don't have cinnamon, which I find really odd because that's a pretty basic thing. I always think that I have it because it's like something that pretty much
Yeah.
everyone had, and then I never have it. So, didn't have cinnamon, but I actually uh, use that mix and then put it in apple cider. So it was like a buttered rum apple cider. It
Okay.
was really good, but
Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah,
And it had rum in it, so it was
hmm
probably pretty good.
it was very good. I love warm alcohol drinks. I think that
Yeah.
those are like S tier drinks for me.
They're some of the only alcohol drinks that feel like they're a complete thing as well.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it's hot alcohol with liquor and it's beer. I feel like beer works just as beer, but a lot of other drinks, like I really like shots of certain drinks like mezcal and whiskeys and things like that that are harsh, but
hmm
it's very easy for that to feel like an incomplete thing without something with it. But I feel like a beer or a hot alcohol drink can be a whole thing by themselves.
hmm Yeah, I was like once I made that and I was just kind of having it on uh Sunday. Is today Monday? Yes, today is Monday because we're
Yep.
podcasting. Okay. Um I had it yesterday because it was just super rainy the whole weekend and I was like, "Ooh, this is like perfect buttered rum weather." Um and yeah, it is very much its own thing. Like I didn't feel the need to really have another one or anything else after that. It's very nice. I did enjoy it quite a bit. But I have this for now and then I also have snickerdoodles courtesy of
Ah,
Evan's mother. Yes, very good.
Evan's mother seems like
And
she
then
makes
just in
a lot of
case
good stuff.
I do,
Nice.
just as a backup.
Yeah, just, in case it is necessary.
In case. Good to be prepared. Yeah, Evan's mom is very good at baking. It's like what she does a lot, a lot of the time. It's just
I
baking.
I think before I really knew Evan at all, because like usually I would just see Evan when you were at things or like, uh, well, you came to like a work thing once, I think.
hmm
Uh,
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I saw of him initially, but I knew that his mom made baked goods like pretty early on.
Yeah, that is kind of a defining characteristic of her family is that I don't know if she does anymore, but she used to work nights as a nurse. And so she would just be up like all the time at like 3 in the morning, just
Uh-huh.
like cranking out cookies. Like there's always cookies at her house, which is it's nice, but it's
Uh,
funny. I don't.
ha- having uh, an old SO that was a nurse, I also got into that uh, like daily timeline, and there's a lot of night cooking and night baking for sure. I guess that is a more than just a few people thing based on my my web of people at this point. Because
Yeah.
that was already like the second or third person I knew that did nursing care and also did a lot of night activity.
Yeah. I I don't know how, but I don't know how you do that. I mean, I already stay up very late, but it I imagine it's really difficult to work and have your most of your life schedule be the opposite of everybody else's.
Yeah.
So,
My insomnia has done that to me unwillingly. I mean, currently it's been doing it, but also like in various chunks of my life. For a while, there was like a term or two in college where like my sleeping was after classes. So the last thing I did each day was go to classes, and that was my schedule.
mm,
Uh, there's a lot of like very fucked up. Well, keep in mind my classes ended at like 3 in the afternoon most of the time at that point. So it was not a this could work schedule. It was like a up at 2 a.m. because it's the morning now kind of schedule. Uh, I think that uh, I've been thinking about work schedules and human beings and stuff a lot during COVID and how much it is not in anybody's favor.
uh-huh.
The only way you get a good work schedule is to already be rich. So, uh,
Yeah. Woo.
yeah.
That seems to be the key to a lot of things.
I found one.
Nice.
So I guess I'll go with the most current news real quick. Uh, Also talking about um, Evan. I don't think it's giving away too much to say Evan is an Alaskan. Uh, um, and so there's what I think Homer and some other areas on the like water in that area are evacuating to higher ground at the moment
Oh.
because of the current tsunamis hitting Alaska. As of what I want to say, like an hour and a half ago or so, as of recording this, they had a 7.5 earthquake off Sand Point, like 50 some miles off Sand Point, and then they have had a 5.8 and a 5.6. I want to say as aftershocks. So those are all uh, causing some issues with mostly non-inhabited or lightly inhabited areas, which last I checked, a lot of those places are indigenous land, so hopefully they're okay. Um, but I know that I saw Homer and some other areas moving for the moment to make sure that nothing shitty happens. Also, I got messages from people worried about tsunamis hitting here, which I'm not especially worried about given the location of everything. Maybe parts of Canada would get a little bit, but um,
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get anything here. Uh, I want to say the tsunami that hit in the 70s. Ah, the blueberries are coming up on me. Gotta pound those down real quick. I want to say the tsunami from before, the most recent one, dropped by like half of its height in less distance than the current one is from the mainland. So I don't foresee that being a problem, but I guess I'm also by a lake, so probably not in any danger in general here. But by the I don't know, maybe the sound will get rocky for a little bit in an hour or so here. I guess it takes like 3 hours to get here from there, something like that. Anyway, that's some news. Also, shout out to Palmer, where I was born. They are where the detection crew is.
Oh,
So
cool.
Palmer, which is I would say about the size of Kirkland, but twice as good. They they have like the tsunami and seismic warning center that detected this stuff. Um, they also have I guess shout outs to Turkey Red, a weird diner where they try to be a diner, an art gallery, and a like a you know the like the Eagles Club style places that are just
Yeah.
like it's like that too. Like it's a very like small town trying to be fancy thing of like we have art like actual like hang like nicely framed art, but also it's a diner where we do serve a lot of turkey because we know a lot of old people are going to be here. And then also we're sort of an Eagles club, I guess, kind of. Um, it's a weird place, but
That's an interesting cross section there.
yeah, that is also a town that recently got a Target, I think, or a Target nearby, and everybody was like, "It's going to hell. We got a Target."
That's funny. Man, imagine having a Target. We still don't have a Target, although I've heard that there are plans for one.
I assume that every place in the U.S. is either planning a Target or building a Target at any given time.
Probably. Yeah. I think that's a fair assumption.
Uh, stand by. Nice.
They're pretty good cookies.
They sound like they have some crunch to them, but not too much.
They're still like a little chewy. So
That's
good.
that's what I want in a cookie. I don't want it to crumble at all. I don't like a crumbly cookie, but anything up to crumbling, I think, is pretty good.
Yeah. I prefer a chewy cookie.
Mhm.
That's my preference.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Your emergency food is making an early
Dwindling.
appearance. um, let's
Mm.
see. Uh, everything I did this week was under some amount of duress while I was dealing with my. So the air is finally kind of okay today, or like it has been for longer. We're currently at 25 AQI, which is like halfway towards bad, I would call it.
Mm.
This is about where I still can have the windows open, so I'm not like sweltering hot in here because it's not enough space to like stay cool easily. Um, so I'm able to have the window open currently since I found out how sensitive I am to like the air being fucked up. Um, but uh, it was actually down to like 15 and 16 AQI, which is pretty close to uh normal here. Like normal should be closer to like between 0 and 10, but um it usually gets up to about 30. So the like middle that it gives as like a yearly sits at around 15. So that's like doable. Um But what I found is whenever it goes over 30, I start feeling like somebody's trying to kill me. And
Mm.
it's been like in the 60s range for a lot of uh, the past 2 weeks or so. Ever since it was very high, it's been high. And that is making it so I can't sleep. And it's also making it so I can't like function normal human, which is fun.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to, I guess, the technology to allow people to have a respirator without it looking terrible, because that's probably where I'm going to be at, let's say 5 to 10 years from now, if we don't do anything.
Yeah. Um, air quality is I think an interesting thing that people don't think about at all until it is affecting them,
Yeah.
especially for like I mean just in the last couple of years I have learned about the concept of what's it called? Like environmental racism. Is that what I think
Oh,
that's what it's
yeah.
called? Yeah. Um, which basically is just the concept of like lower income and diverse, like people of color communities tend to be next to like landfills and poor air quality, poor water
Hmm.
quality, that kind of thing. Um, and like that's a newer concept for me, but I think we're about to get pretty
Yeah.
acquainted with that in the next couple of years.
Well, and environmental racism is actually one of the big things that has been creating the right wing's own boogeyman for a while, which sucks because it's one that we don't want either. Like nobody should want it, but the rise in eco-fascism of as like a thing that is followed by people is not necessarily the most like daunting currently, but that is a thing that I don't think people really have had to deal with in the past that is now like, oh no, this is what socialism is. Just another thing to paint that title onto. But
Yeah.
I I don't know. It's one of those really cynical views, but like part of me wants things like that to at least be present just to put some kind of real fear into people who make their own fear out of like not being treated like the supreme beings of an area. The whole like the level of disparity for like rich people right now needs some kind of like boogeyman kind of thing to scare them that's legit because it can't all be like fake socialism fear and stuff like that. So preferably it would be just people being reasonable.
My internet is very bad today, I'm
Oh,
realizing.
I know. uh, I like to uh, view uh, the way that I'm speaking as it is interpreted on the other end of the video is always very fun. Uh, that's another thing I've noticed though is that air quality getting shittier. I don't know if it actually affects stuff or if there are side things that are affecting things, but the internet seems worse when the air quality is worse, and I wonder if that's a thing people could actually explain to me or not, because
Yeah.
it seems pretty in line. Every time we've gotten AQI that drops or goes above like 40, the internet starts to get worse, and it could just be people being like, "Why does everything suck right now?" But like, I don't know.
Everyone's just Googling why. Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. I wonder if there is a connection there.
Yeah.
I would love if a person who knows science could get at
I know some science folk. I don't know if they're gonna get at us or not, but if
science folk get at
if nobody gets at us, I might get at them in the future and see if they have anything to say.
Either way, I would be curious to know
Look at
because
this
I
texture. It's getting weird in there.
ooh,
Yeah,
it
what were
is
you
good.
saying?
I haven't. I don't think I've personally noticed that. Although I mean, I don't think I would just because our internet is always pretty bad. I don't know that I would notice a difference, but
Um, uh, Nick is currently roommate. Nick is currently with with boyfriend at a so my like only close friend when I was in a chunk of school districts while I was moving around a lot as a kid uh, lived in this place called the Farm, which is exactly as creepy and rich as it sounds. It's like in the woods on a hill, hidden from society unless you know where it is in Woodinville. And it's all millionaires and doctors of different types. And uh, place that they're dog sitting for people is in that uh, like weird little rich people town, and their internet seems to be the same internet that we have here, but it
Hmm.
is like twice or more the speed of our internet. It just works way better. Like um, Nick has been doing his work, which is all like video and audio over the internet, like working
Right.
with people for stuff, and everything works better, like consistently to a
Hmm.
degree that is like pretty significant. Um, and he works with like sort of internet diagnostics anyway, so like I don't think he's overblowing it out of some sort of like uh, misinterpretation of something. It seems like you get the same thing, but you have a lot of money. You're gonna just get a better version of it, and like I guess we already knew that, but having the experience of it seems frustrating at best. So he's working from there today.
That must be nice to have some speedy internet. I actually,
Yeah.
that's something I hadn't even considered about people working from homes. I wonder, I mean, obviously, people's jobs aren't paying for them to have good internet.
No.
So I
That's
wonder if anyone's lost their job because their internet was bad.
I can almost guarantee it. Like it your
Yeah, I
internet
wouldn't be
being
surprised.
your internet being bad doesn't count as like a prejudice really. That's just sort of like, well, you should have done something about that. So I imagine it
Hmm.
would be very easy to spin we can't use this person if they can't do their job. That kind of shit.
Probably. And there's really no, um, what is the word I'm trying to think of? It's not
Uh
something we dealt with before.
I think it's
So
just justice. I think that's your
yeah, justice. There's no justice. Is that right? Yeah,
I think
could
that's
be.
it.
Could
I
be.
remember living downtown when I wasn't able to afford internet yet, using library internet and thinking about the idea of that during this, like being unable to afford or like get things like that. Like
Hmm.
for the most part, like I wouldn't even be able to communicate with my own employer right now. Like they will check their messages and that is something that's set up, but like at that point I also didn't have a smartphone. So literally text message and calls is all I could do. And I just wouldn't be able to like do anything besides like call in and maybe get called back. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that people don't really care to discuss, I think, during this, in regards to people who don't have means, which is more and more of us, it seems.
It does seem that way. Um, Not super related, but on a fun note,
Yeah,
that that streamer that I watch, Hassan Piker,
yeah,
um, AOC tweeted today that she wanted to play Among Us with some streamers to like get out the vote kind of promotion.
yeah.
And I think they're gonna play Among Us. They might have done it today, or it might just be happening soon. But
That's
at
pretty
some
cool.
point, yeah.
I
So that'll
wonder
be.
if I wonder if she's good at it or not.
I will be curious to see, but I was reading some of the like Twitter comments, and she actually plays. So she plays League of Legends.
Right.
Um, and a lot of people were responding like, "Do not encourage her because then she will start streaming League of Legends, and that's the last thing we need is another person streaming a shit ass game." So.
Just get more. Stop getting QAnon people in office and start getting LOL streamers into office.
I mean,
LOL streamers are the new boomers in 15 years or whatever anyway, so we may as well
it's
start
true.
getting to work. We got a identity for those people so that they can have something to hate.
I do like this idea. I mean, I'd much rather hate a league streamer than like 800-year-old dinosaur
Yeah.
man.
These
So
streamers and simps are all. Can you? I don't know. I guess it's not antithetical to simp over a league streamer, but I guess that's the kind of questions we have to answer in the years ahead of us.
these are things we'll have to discover on the way. But I'm excited to see how good she is at Among Us, and I am sure that she will probably stream League at some point. I'm curious what role she plays,
Well,
and
we know that she plays like a assist role. We just don't know too much about it.
oh, does she?
Yeah.
Okay. That's usually what I play, so I would be curious to watch her. She's
Mm.
probably better than I am. So, no.
I mean, I honestly, I think that you can learn a lot about a person and their temperament from watching them play a video game. I have watched some ADHD people play some video games and been amazed at what they do. And I imagine it would go similarly with them watching me play something. So there's a whole world of different neurotypes to kind of watch do a thing that is sort of open-ended. Even like Among Us is pretty open-ended when you think of like your activity. I would like to have more of that, honestly.
Yeah. Among Us is specifically a really interesting game to play with like different personality types. It can be either really fun or really, really not fun,
Yeah.
depending on who you're playing with. I've watched like streamers play together, and it's really funny that sometimes they will be like privately to their own streams when they're playing the game, and like the lobby can't hear them. They'll be like, "Oh, I really like this lobby of people. Like this is a fun game. Everyone's being nice." Or or they're like, "I hate this lobby. We're leaving immediately after this."
Yeah, the Among Us chat when they're not in game anymore is probably the best part of an Among Us stream.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, while you're playing together, you're sort of playing your role and keeping everything secret that isn't pertaining to your team. And then once you're inevitably dead in that game, you just sort of have your own separate audio channel, usually with other dead people or on your own, and analyzing how bad a decision people are making after you've been outed is one of the better parts of that as a streaming game.
I do love the dead chat. I
Mm-hmm.
love that part of the game, and that you get to be a ghost and follow people around as they make terrible decisions.
Yeah, there's
It's pretty good.
inevitably somebody who's going to have the right answer and be pushing for the right people to get questioned as the aliens, and somebody will think of some stupid reason why that's actually a trick. It seems like a really good dynamic of how people actually work. The whole
Hmm.
again, QAnon isn't good for much of anything, but it is good for analyzing the social dynamic. And the idea of somebody going, but that's just not real, is always met with somebody else if you're like in a public space going, they're lying. And that is exactly
Yep.
what happens in Among Us.
I had actually never thought of it that way, but yes, that is exactly what happens. I have played so many games where for actually this was for a, like a week straight. Evan and I would get into games together, and he would just immediately always say it was me for no reason, not
Yeah.
like completely
Oh no, there's a
unprovoked.
reason. It's very
And
funny.
there, he would just get in the chat. It's white because I play. My name is Mike Pence, so I always play as white.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, it's white," right off the bat, all the time. And I, more often than not, immediately ejected. Like, there's nothing I can say.
I mean, that's just a good play.
I guess. Yeah, it works. It narrows it down.
I'm glad this is a non-in-person thing, because now I'm a pickle fingers. It's just kind of the way it is. But
that's how it goes.
There's nobody else in the apartment today, so
you're free to be as pickle fingers as you want.
pickle fingers is a private situation.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I would rather be a snickerdoodle fingers, but most people would.
Oh.
Also, your nails work with it.
I know. I was noticing that they do. I really like a white manicure. I think it goes pretty well with just about everything.
Mm-hmm. I like that off green color. I think that like basically works like a portrait base. You can like paint over it with any color, and it works pretty well. That's probably my favorite nail, like base nail color, whether it's just that or like added to. Though I have in the time that I've been doing my nails, I've definitely noticed that there is a pretty significant amount of people who are very weirdly exclusionary about nail art and nail color and all that kind of stuff. Not on purpose, really? I don't think, but there is sort of a like, why are you busting in on our territory feeling from a lot of women I know when I do nail color, which, I don't know, I guess that's not super surprising, but I don't think anybody's going to look at me and go like, now that's the way to do it.
That is kind of odd to me. I'm kind of surprised to hear that. I would, It makes me excited when I see guys painting their nails because I think it's just such a fun little way to just like be artistic about your person.
Yeah. I think
more guys should do it.
I bet it's similar to my ponytail hatred. Like, I essentially have what would be a small ponytail, but I always have it in a bun or out because that's the hairstyle I'm going for. And I was really reluctant to do that initially until I realized that of the hairstyles I can do, even though, like, you'll look at this weird action, it's clearly not the best option, but it's one of the few hairstyles I can do at home that also looks like I tried it all. Because the rest of them are like, well, I could just shave it, and then I look like every other like 17-year-old who thinks that, I don't know, the money for a haircut is better spent somewhere else, which they're not wrong, but I don't know. It's that feeling though, perhaps, of not liking a ponytail because the people I know who had ponytails were oftentimes the guys who were like very into themselves. So my initial reaction to a ponytail was always just like, oh, cool, another one of these people. That would be my guess. I bet there's some fucking nail polish boys out there making it shitty for the rest of us. But
I'm sure somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the bowl haircut right now. I don't have a problem with like a Prince Valiant cut necessarily, but I do recognize that right now the sort of, what is it? Dylan Roof, I want to say, the murderer, the shithead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think
the
that
like middle part.
I think that he made that haircut popular for other horrible people. So now that's like not really as acceptable. There's always going to be stuff like that.
Because he had like the middle part that's like
Yeah,
wavy,
he
right?
had like the dick tip haircut that some people can get away with and most can't. But that's how I feel about a ponytail, honestly.
Hmm.
Also, his name is spelled not like you would expect, last I remember.
Oh yeah, there's an extra N. Oh yeah, he does have like the bowl haircut.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I actually for a while wanted to get that haircut because I like that haircut on women a lot.
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty interesting, but I don't think my hair is very thin and it has a certain way of parting, which
Right.
I don't think it would ever work
Uh,
out for you.
I think that haircut is cool, and it's usually, well, like most haircuts, it's usually better on women, but especially I know some people who did they would lower the front,
Mm.
and I think that works really well as like a kind of how I do my hair. You can counteract your weird head shape by using your hair in those ways. Um, where I don't know it, going back to the initial idea, people with ponytails were often the people who were like the ones I would meet who were, for whatever reason, convincing a lot of people that sex was a good idea with them, but also being the most horrible people on earth. Uh, so I don't know. There's probably an age range for everything. Like I don't know if I would. I would probably think a kid with a monk cut at 13 was pretty cool, but I would have questions when it comes to somebody who's like 45.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's fair. I don't think I've had too many actual interactions with people with like a ponytail, or at least guys with ponytail. There is one guy, I guess, and he was fine,
Mm-hmm.
but and then you, but I think those are the only guys that I know that have
Yeah.
ventured into that territory.
I mean, I'm not going to once things normalize a little bit, but I'll probably have it for a while yet because I'm not gonna decide to go get my head touched by random people for a while.
Why?
Yeah.
Why not?
um, Speaking of that, a little bit, sort of less depressing and more frustrating, but people, I mean, if nothing else, I'm glad people are rooting this kind of stuff out. But the GOP stuff lately, where they have uh, been planning. I, if I were more with it, I would have found the place for people to go look at the report. But they were having talks about how they would react to a loss at the election with deconstructing what they could of like our healthcare and environmental stuff for the purpose of making a potential Biden presidency rebuild everything and waste time so they couldn't get things done. Which is like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, of course. That sounds like exactly what those assholes would do. Just you're moving out of an apartment, so you just hide raw hamburger all over the place. Like I don't understand what the fuck the point is other than being just giant pieces of shit. Because if you're
Yeah.
not in power and getting as much money as you maybe want, which also is not a thing, people who are grifters make more money when they're out of power. Like that's how it works. You get fear money from people more when you're out of power. That's like how fundraising and things like that work. Like right now the presidency is like less advantageous in a money sense to the GOP, which is why it's so dead set on making all of these shitty things work. So when they're not in power, they can make the money they want. Uh, so to them, it's just sort of fucking everything in a way that lets them keep making that money for longer, even if we have like environmental work done and all that stuff. It's just very crass. Like I know that perspective changes as you get money. Like I honestly, so I'll explain my very stupid version of that in a minute, but the idea of actively probably killing quite a few people just through like inaction and stuff like that, because you would like a slightly higher wage for slightly longer seems like the most evil shit that we shouldn't like let just sit there. But for me, I'm going to spin that topic into the fact that I got an early Christmas gift this week from a close friend. You may know them as the head of Natalie's Shady Fiction Warehouse. But I got a Switch, so I own a Switch now. I've been switched, and that's very exciting for me.
That's awesome.
But not only a Switch, I now have a Animal Crossing special designed Switch that has like blue and light blue controllers with like the little things you put on them to like attach them to your wrist and use the top buttons. Those look like buoys, and they're very like, I don't know. It's got like a grip inlay of like little animals with like trees and stuff on the back. It's very classy looking.
That's exciting.
Along with that, I also get to now start my own island. Like I've done stuff in the past and built up a lot of things, but it was with my roommate on their island with a like non-full account, and now I have a full account that I have had, since I worked at Nintendo. I have like system accounts and things like that all roll into the Switch. And I also have I have like control over where things go in a more distinct way, which changes the game quite a bit. I'm like setting up where houses go. I have a koala made out of limes that is really into working out, hanging out on my island, as well as an old returning favorite, Pashmina, the like sort of, I think, lightly Arabian themed goat who wears a lot of sweaters. I'm into that. I met some horrible bird and a horrible dog on islands that are now coming to my island, so that's exciting. The dog is named Bay, which sucks, and I'm very excited to have it.
Like BAE?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's one of the new ones for this, like one of the, I want to say like 15 or so that they added to this one. But yeah, it's very fun. I've graduated out of a tent.
Nice.
I'm enjoying living in the version of capitalism that is actually weirdly much closer to socialism. So that's also exciting. There are 0 interest loans with no payback date. That I think is something that people should consider when they're talking about the evil like corporatism of Animal Crossing. If you actually look at how the money works, you can just hang out and your needs are met. So that kind of seems a little less
not
capitalist.
So much.
Yeah, you're not held hostage by the fact that you exist in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
So.
You don't become homeless in Animal Crossing if you don't sell enough fruits or whatever. Turnips.
Yeah, if any, I've never done turnips throughout any of the games, really. Like
me neither. It seems like a lot of work.
Same way as I've never used the stock market because I don't have enough money to like do anything with it. It's not going to benefit me to put $100 in or something. But along with that, I also now have the ability to play Hades, which is a game that came out from Supergiant, I think is the company. They made Pyre, Transistor, and Bastion. And I've been wanting to play Hades for like what, I think it's been out for a little over a year. But it just now came out to consoles, but not the PlayStation 4, which was the last hand-me-down gift console that I had. So I now have the ability to play that, which is very exciting. And I also
That's
have
cool.
their weird free stuff, like Tetris 99 and Mario 35, which I haven't tried yet, but looks very weird. And sleeper hit of the sales hunting from early switching. I got a game called Speed Dating for Ghosts, which is it's like a weird cartoony text adventure sort of, in which you do speed dating with ghosts. And it looks like the setup is there are 3 ghosts at a time, and each one has a different storyline if you can sort of dating sim your way into the date at the end. So I got through a quest line of talking to a ghost and then going to visit their daughter, who was wondering where they went after the mob killed the ghost. Well, before it was a ghost, for being the only person in a casino who had the books for the mob or whatever. It is a surprisingly dark and fun take on dating sim stuff, because it has that thing that all dating sims have of like, you want the character story, but all of the characters you're trying to date are disgusting. Like they look like characters I would make, which are the opposite of dateable, which is perfect because it lets you focus in on the cool part of those games, which is like getting this sort of interactive story, and that was pretty cool. So I would suggest that. I think for the next couple days it's on sale for $2, which is how I got it.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Also discovering, because I've never had access to the store on a Switch before, their sale game is pretty good. They do a lot of like heavily discounted indie games, which I'm always down for. So, but a warning: don't set up your PayPal and then buy. You can't make a cart to buy stuff. You have to buy each thing through a button that's on the page for it. And if you do that and use PayPal to like buy like a handful of stuff, it will stop taking money from your PayPal. Like it trips a PayPal like alert or something. And I know 2 other people who have both had this happen, and I think it happened to me, even though it was very like light usage. Because I went in knowing that, so I got like a $50 card to just kind of like use some of and have the rest sit there. Which is also why, instead of ordering food today, I'm going to be having some curry that we made the other day.
Nice.
But I leveraged some food buying money into supplying the Switch with some stuff. Also, their yearly online is $20 a year still, which is pretty good, especially since you get Nintendo and Super Nintendo. Like they have the Netflix thing set up, so you can play. I want to say it's like 20-ish games from each system right now, and they add like a game a month or so that just kind of stack in with the rest. That stuff's
That's
good
cool.
though. They have the ones that you would want for the most part, like older Zeldas and newer, newer Super NES, newer, so older everything. But they have like Mario World, Mario All Stars, Kirby Superstar, like all the things that are not clouded by nostalgia as much as the other things. Weirdly, also 2 Super NES Tennis games, maybe 3. which is a lot of tennis games considering there's like 20 games total for that system. But that stuff's really cool. Anyway, that's been my audio unboxing of the Switch that I now own.
Well, that's really cool. That's a big development in your gaming life.
It is very exciting. I also, my Minecraft server, I now have Minecraft on there, so I can access it just sitting.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes a big difference. It actually, because the screen is very small, and if I were going to sit down and use it on a screen, I would be on this computer. It looks really nice having all of the graphics crushed. It actually works really well for like kind of taking some of the jagged edges and making them look a little nicer.
Yeah, I'd imagine, especially for Minecraft, that it would also look nice, like smaller.
Well, and I already have the server set up with it's like twice the resolution of most texture packs, so it's already kind of running what would be HD looking graphics for Minecraft, at least. Minecraft is just a pile of blocks with some character art, but it looks nice. There are some real weird takes on some of the creatures in this texture set, including the witch that usually looks like a Muppet, looks like sort of a horrible vampire creature, which I enjoy. I will actually, this picture was taken by server mate Kurt, and you might be behind on the times. Kurt is sort of begat Carrie, so that is the current situation with name schemes. But this is an image which we can put with our upload. Has been sent to your text. I would like you to view this and remember that this is apparently going on in Minecraft for us right now.
That's pretty good.
I feel like you could put that on a shirt and just write socialism under it, and people would be pretty into it.
Yeah, I think you could. I really appreciate the work of the tooth gap. That's really nice.
Yeah.
The teeth in general look pretty good.
Here, I'll see if I can get this up to the camera for people. Yeah. I cropped this image, but it's looking in through a door with transparencies, so it's kind of staring in through the gate there. I really enjoy that. I also recently found out in there, because this is apparently video game corner now. I don't look stuff up on Minecraft. I just sort of let it be a thing that I slowly discover all the weird shit in it. And because of that, I didn't know that you could dye sheep and get different colors of wool off them until this week. I've been playing it since like it came out, and I don't think that's a very new thing. But in that game, you can trim sheep and you get wool as a resource off of them. And there's like, I don't know, 20-ish colors, and you can make a lot of different patterns of like carpets and things like that with it. And I just didn't know that that was a thing you could do. You can just take dye you made. I think I and the other people on the server have been trying to like designate what colors we're into, because you can dye a lot of different stuff and it makes a lot of different things. Recently, we figured out terracotta. So we've been like making clay and then like dyeing it and baking it so we can have like patterned stuff. And I have been really into farming cactuses. So now I have a bunch of like cactuses set up, and I go and harvest that every few, I don't know, in-game days. They grow pretty quick. Also, it's cactuses growing in a swamp, so I'm glad it's at least a little skewed, or I would have to like relocate for how the environment works. But boiling that down and making green dye and then pouring it all over sheep and harvesting green wool has been really fun.
I really like that you apply it to the sheep instead of
Yeah,
the
it's just
wool after.
you could. So I was applying it to wool afterwards, and like it works, but you end up using one bowl of dye per like 8 chunks of wool, I think. And if you have it on sheep and you have like, let's say 8 sheep that you dye with it, you can get like, I want to say 64 pieces of wool over the course of like maybe 20 minutes. So
Oh.
like you can really speed up just you have like clippers just going and clipping it, and in the game the way it works, every time they lean over and eat grass, their wool goes like and like pops back up. So like in that sense it comes in really quick because you get between like 1 and 3 wool every time you shear them. So
Oh, okay.
much easier to just I now have a sheep farm that has been I built it up for like communal use, so I have like a chest that's just chock full of sheep wool at this point. But midway through, I learned that you could color them, so now there's a whole bunch of white wool, and then like this rainbow of wools that's starting to fill in the chest, and we. So I'm the most experienced Minecrafter on that server, but like I'm an experiential player, so I don't have a lot of good knowledge on stuff. They, on the other hand, have less experience but are into reading about it. So
Mm.
like they've sped up my process because I'll see them doing shit and like ask them about that. That's how I learned about the sheep stuff. Is just offhandedly, one of them was talking about how like, yeah, you just pour it all over them. I was like, what? uh, and so that's been really nice. But they don't have the habits that I have from playing it, which means they don't play it with like I turn the music off because like it's fine, but I'm not really into the soundtrack of that game. But I'll play it with high volume so I can hear what's around my character, and that way I
Mhm.
never like I don't get ambushed pretty much at all. Like I don't have to worry about stuff creeping up on me for the most part. They, on the other hand, have been blown up like once a game every session since they've started playing. Uh, Oftentimes, multiple times, and that's like often like when they'll quit for the day is when they've been blown up. So uh, the sheep farm has had some explosions. And it was just like a barn with a fence. And now I went in last night and I made the barn more fortified and built a second concrete wall around the fence that is much taller. So now it looks like a weird castle, like, but it's inside is
Sheep
just a
jail.
yeah, it's basically a sheep jail. Uh, which I mean that's sort of what a farm is like, but it's friendlier than a jail. So, uh, but there's a little extra space in there, so I think I'm gonna start just putting a fuck ton of flowers in it to try and get more dye sources and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool. It can be like your dye manufacturing area, sort of.
sort of. I'm trying to get better at like making things appealing to look at. But I keep making things that are sort of horrible to look at. Like my mining style doesn't have a lot of organic feel to it. I do a lot of things that are my initial method for trying to find things, because a lot of my actions are based on safety. So like I don't want to lose the stuff I have, and when you die, you drop stuff and you have to go pick it up. So
Mhm.
what I do is like for mining downward, I will mine straight across, and then I will go back and forth, shorter and shorter, making one side stairs and the other side flat. So when I mine, I make this weird triangle, that just goes down with like torches from the top down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it looks terrible. Like because of the way the graphics look and the way that like the mine looks with like the lighting and everything, it like almost makes you feel dizzy because it's like staring at a tall building while also going downward. And I've just sort of tried to accept that into my process of like things are just gonna look bad when I do it. And seeing things that other people make that are made to look good has been a interesting influence on what I've been doing.
How do other people on your server mine? Like, how do they create their?
So uh, one of the people spends almost all of their time underground, which has
Like a
uh,
mole man.
yeah, and that has turned into like a really lavish like cut into the mine that existed space that has like I don't it doesn't most of the stuff that I do that looks good looks very like modern, like it doesn't have a lot of like it has some personality, but it's more about like positioning. Their
Mm.
stuff has like a ton of personality, so it's like they will make like indoor gardens and indoor water features. Like they have like a man-made like a pool that's fed from like a stream that comes through like this underground cavern that they made.
Oh, that's cool.
And they like imported fish into it and have like seaweed in there and like underground gardens with like glass walls between them so you can like I don't know. It's a very nice look, and not a way that I've ever built. So I'm slowly kind of taking inspiration from them. Uh, my best, like looking thing that I've made so far is my thing lately has been trying to make something out of my weird, very sterile mining look. So I make a lot of smooth tubes of space. And I decided I was going to try to make it look like a hallway, like a like carpeted, nice. Like I've been doing a thing where I'll mine into a wall, two spaces, put a light source, and then put glass over it. So I don't
Hmm.
have torches anywhere. I have all these like little. They look almost like windows, but they're light sources. And it ends up looking like a motel. Like it kind of just looks like you're walking through like a place that you're staying while you're going to an out of state wedding or something. And I'm very into it. Like that kind of works for me. I've also tried to. I made a building that the entire one wall of it is tree. So I planted a whole bunch of trees right next to each other, waited for them to grow, and then trimmed it so it makes a wall, and then built the rest of the building around it. So I'm trying some stuff like that to be a little more interesting to look at. I also built it high up, so it's trees with snow on top as like the roof, kind of, and
That's
that's
cool.
been pretty satisfying. This is sort of the game that I play as like a um, low impact art thing anyway. And then our other well, I guess there's two other people playing, but two people on one account right now. Uh, and they've been making extremely nice looking buildings, like just making like big, fancy, well lit, like all of the like things being used like it seems like they would be used. They made like a giant pagoda that looks like a giant pagoda with like full carpeting and like fancy windows and terracotta interiors and all this stuff. It looks really nice. It's like even color scheme to work together.
Oh,
Uh,
that's cool.
but the other person playing on their account makes like where my stuff underground, I would almost say is like brutalist architecture. They're making like what would somebody make if it were only a mixture of efficiency and need, and like purposefully not great. So we also have like these land bridges that are just like jagged dirt and stuff, and like these caves that are just giant empty caves that are like imposing and weird, and I really like that being added in as well. So we kind of have a good spread started up.
Yeah.
Nick is also wanting to play, but just hasn't like been in a spot to really get into it yet. I'm curious because I don't think Nick's gonna build anything or like build things only as like a necessary thing. I think Nick, when he played a little bit early on to like learn how the game works, was 100% like exploring stuff, which we kind of need that too to find things. So I'm into that. And
That's usually my approach with games, is to
yeah,
just explore and then make as needed.
hmm
Yeah.
I think that's really useful, especially when there's a bunch of people who are like trying to locate things. Like, there's a lot of resources we haven't found yet, and my slow cartography is kind of finding some of it. Like that's how I got cactus, but we were stuck in a swamp for quite a while. That's kind of where we started. So we need people to kind of actually
Venture
find the
out.
shit. Yeah. Anyway, in case people weren't familiar with Minecraft, that's sort of what's going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a
It's
very
a
pleasant video gamey, like low key kind of thing for that stuff.
yeah, that's kind of what I like in a ooh. We've reached the dregs of the sake concoction.
I found the goop.
The goop.
That's gonna have to have something added to it, or just spoon added to it.
Yeah, those might be the only two options.
Mhm.
I have usually my approach with games, or the games that I like, are either I like low key kind of exploratory open world sort of scenarios,
Yeah.
or I like games. Actually, I've been playing a lot more of TFT,
Okay.
of the League of Legends variety, and it's the first time I've played kind of like an auto chess game or something of that variety, where they're like set units in every game, and you have it's like the same every game, and you just have to figure out like the right comps or the right items that you want to put on things.
Right.
But we, in my little like Discord group, um we have kind of this running joke where our one of the like oldest members of the group, he is very good at League of Legends and has been playing it for like years and years, and he is very good at TFT.
Okay.
So he's won, I don't know, like 20 something times on this current like version that's out. And I started playing and like taking it really seriously a couple of weeks ago. Because I like the newest set that's out. Every set with TFT, they introduce a um different like comps that you can do, and kind of like different
Okay.
themes of characters. Um so I liked this one, and I started playing it a lot and taking it seriously, and I started winning. Which nobody expected, because I'm not good at this game. And it has turned into a running joke in our server that I'm going to surpass his wins. So, and we have a channel where you post all of your wins of this particular game. And usually it's just him posting, because he's the only one that's really good at it, or that really plays it.
Yeah.
But I've been playing it a lot, and like way too much. Um, and I'm getting close to beating him, actually. But I've started to have like um Last night I had a stress dream about this video game where
Uh-huh.
I was like playing it, and I've had actually a lot of dreams about like playing this game, but last night was the first night that it was like stressful and actually woke me up.
Uh-huh.
And and it was so weird because it was very detailed and like I felt like I was actually playing it and I knew that I was sleeping, but I like the way that the game is structured is that you will play against different like your opponents for a couple of rounds, and then there's kind of this carousel of um people you can choose from every few rounds to add to your team. um and in my dream I kept getting to like the carousel part where you're choosing an item or a person, and someone would choose the thing that I wanted, and I would get so frustrated that I would like wake up, and then I would like realize, oh, and then I would go back to sleep and it would continue, and this happened like 5 times last night. So
Those mother those motherfuckers are taking your crit bonus.
yeah, it's so funny because I I've had a couple of dreams like this where I don't know. I feel like it's a specific type of dream where your brain is like running through the motions of something that you're doing that you think that you're really doing it
Mm-hmm.
despite waking up multiple times throughout the dream. Um, and yeah, it's the first time it's happened with this game. So I posted in the server today, like, I might need to take a break from this because it's ruining my brain. But it was interesting. The only other time I can really remember that I've had a similar dream was actually when I first started working at my former workplace, your current workplace.
Uh-huh.
I used to have a lot of stress dreams about like putting paper in the printers and like doing things in the right methodical way and like having the right settings, and because I was so stressed out about doing it correctly when I first got there
Mm-hmm.
that I would go to sleep at night and just like have a whole nother work day basically in my head, and it
I don't
sucked.
know what could possibly. There's no people or circumstances that could have made you stressed. Uh,
I don't know. I don't know what that could have been, but it was the similar type of like uh I don't know, uh steps, or it felt very similar to that
mhm.
type of dream. But have you ever had a dream like that where you're like, I don't know. It's weird to describe in a way that sounds different from like normal dreams, but it
Yeah.
felt very different to me.
I have had dreams that I think felt similarly, but I'm having trouble thinking of exactly like what they were about. I want to say that most of the dreams that I've had that are stressful and also like a real activity are normally things that are like going to a destination and less like getting an activity correct. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I've had a lot of like I need to get to blank types of dreams that are often like I'll realize it's a dream and I'll realize that there is an obstacle, but it's rarely like procedure based. It's just sort of like uh progression, I guess. Um
Yeah.
I have had dreams that are like me and like art, which I think would be the closest thing, like working on something, but most of the dreams I have are um trying to navigate like art shows or something, which is something I have a lot of stress about. But it's less. I don't know. It's still like what dreams do, according to a lot of people. The like taking a lot of things that could happen and trying to like find solutions for it as a survival tactic. Like I think it's still
Mm-hmm.
related to that for me, but show type stuff is much more about the survival of like uh being socially normal I guess. Like that's more like just getting things to work in a way that you think other people expect is probably closer to my version of that than an actual like procedural like doing a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also probably just the ones I remember. Like those are the ones that have had more impact to me because I'm certain that I've had dreams about just like working on something that are probably kind of similar. Um, I also don't have. I feel like dreams that have to do with like games almost never happen for me. Like I don't think that that's a thing that I've experienced really, but um, maybe fighting games. I'm pretty sure I've had
Mm.
like tournament dreams of like how do I like beat this person, but still seems a little different to work or uh like a I guess having a strategy completely like playing over and over
Yeah.
that you're doing. I don't think I've had that.
That's what was so weird to me about this one is like this is the first dream I've ever had where I was playing a game.
Yeah.
Because usually I can have like, I don't know, tangentially related things to a game or like something, but this is the first dream where I was actually like, there were other players playing it, like I was actually playing it. And I remember like the items I was building, and I remember the team that I was building very specifically. Just super weird, but yeah, I think that this dream and like the ones that I used to have about work, those are the only like procedural kind of stress dreams that I've had.
Okay.
The only other like recurring stress dream that I do have that it is more like progression like based. I don't know how to describe that, but is one where I am like in school or something, and or I'm in like online school. I think is it,
Okay.
and there's a class. I think it's specifically a math class every time that I like was enrolled in and didn't know I was, and it's the end of the semester and I just never went and like totally failed it and never knew about it. I don't know. I don't think this happened to me. I'm like pretty sure it didn't actually happen because I think I would remember, but like I have that dream a lot. It's so weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
School dreams are also something I had a lack of. I think most of my dream scenarios or most of what my brain is trying to work through has more to do with a storyline than like an issue, I guess. Um,
Mm.
but I also work through issues very vocally with just sitting and like daily working through stuff because I have trouble sleeping if I leave like a bunch of issues sitting at the end of the day. So I think for me, it's probably a combination of I've been a very video game forward person, especially with things that are specifically to create a problem. Like I play a lot of games that are uh, sort of unfair on purpose in my
Mm.
like leisure time. So when I like think about those games, the fact that they are a problem is pleasant, and I don't really even have a like an ongoing thought about them other than the fact that I like taking the stories and sort of like fucking with it. Um, and then I mean that kind of works into why I play Minecraft the way I do. I want there to be weird shit popping up, like say throwing a bowl of dye on a sheep, doing anything. Uh, if somebody came and like spoiled everything for me right at the start, I would have a lot less interest in most games.
Yeah.
And then what? Like I don't know. I guess most of what I think of in like a dreamscape is sort of a problem, but it's a problem of I'm usually working on long-term projects that have to do with finding scenes and finding sort of the trajectory for a story. So I think probably part of the reasoning behind the fact that I'm pretty often just stuck in like a big visual thing when I'm dreaming has more to do with to work through something, but it's something that's sort of specific to that. Um, I imagine, based on what my computer just did, that things are going to look a little strange on your end.
It looks
Uh,
fine now, but my video or your video or both just cut out fully for a second there.
yeah, I don't know why, but
Okay.
I'm going to assume it's just the internet being troublesome. I don't
I'm
see any
gonna
alerts.
assume that it's the air quality until
I
science tells
guess.
me otherwise.
Happy Halloween.
Spooky.
Ah, anyway, that's been our revisit to Dream Corner. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, I was thinking that might be worthwhile discussing. I'd actually was like racking my brain for an interesting topic for today, which I mean, dreams might not be interesting to some people, but that is one of my top top like uh content topic ideas that I just always have. So
I mean, unless we just want to label every episode we do as Depression Quest and a number, I don't think like sticking to just the news is never going to be the best. Speaking of the news,
yay.
people should look into Bolivia if they haven't, because that stuff is pretty good news.
Yep.
And also, it's probably worth looking at for like here, just as like a hey, I hope everything goes well for them, because that's probably the best real world indicator of how things are going to go here in a few months. And by a few months, I mean, what, like 30 days? So,
No.
yeah. So keep voting. I did. I was real worried. Nick got his ballot and I didn't for like a couple days, so that was not.
Yeah, that's happening to a lot of my friends. Like I got mine a long time ago.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I think. And I have friends that still have not received theirs, which is pretty nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're putting a lot of shit together in like, hey, look at this timeline of how people are talking. We need to be very open about the idea that we're not going to be able to just not say anything and have this go as we want. We need to be sort of vocal about it. So,
yeah.
Vote. If you vote in a place that has one of those little tabs you can keep to like check on your ballot, I don't know that that can necessarily be useful to like get yourself in there, but it's probably a good idea just to keep track of that. I don't know. We're kind of in the middle of all of our shit right now for the U.S. So if you are for some reason not in the U.S. and watching this, know that it's dumb and it sucks. And if you have any bad thoughts about the way the U.S. works, they're probably true. So I guess keep that in mind while you watch us flail around and try to like have any amount of social justice, which I feel like has been something we've been waiting on and will probably continue waiting on for the most part for the next decade as well. I don't know. Interesting political landscape.
Interesting is a word.
That's what I have to say about that.
Is there gonna be another debate? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think the one debate was it. We had a debate and we've had
The
town
one
halls.
and then the town hall?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I remembered like, I don't know, one of the people at one of the town halls saying that there was going to be one, but I don't think that's right because
There's
we're
there's
getting
supposed to be
close.
3. There was supposed to be like an end of this month one, but
Hmm.
that's also what they were saying when they were saying that there were 3 that were going to happen. And after the first one happened, and the president wasn't excited enough about the result, I guess, he then got COVID and then said, "Well, I'm not going to obey any COVID structure. I'm what, just the president. Uh, and if they want me to do it in a form where I'm on a video and they can turn off my sound when they want, then it's not fair anymore. We can't have a debate like any other person has a conversation anywhere else. That's crazy." Um,
We can't possibly hold a debate the same way that literally all business is being conducted everywhere as we speak.
Look, America is
That's
a business. We can't be having business things happening in America. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I assume there will probably be some sort of like Biden message that goes
something.
up, whether it's another town hall or just some sort of speech. And there will probably be some sort of Trump like rally for the right wing shitheads to like make sure our country is preserved or whatever. He'll do his weird Nazi rally thing, whether that's online or not, and talk about how healthy a boy he is, and probably threaten people. He'll probably do the like, we're not going to have any more stimulus. I mean, that's why they're trying to at least uh, what Nancy Pelosi's thing, where she's trying to play the hero again, which is also not going to work, but trying to take um, a like ultimatum format in which over this weekend, or no, over the next 2 days though, they're trying to move blame onto the GOP so that they don't have both sides of the government being equally blamed for still not having a stimulus and letting people die and starve and all that shit.
Hmm.
Instead, they're trying to make sure that like they're offering stuff up, which is good in essence. Like people should be looking at that, and news about it at least helps because they've been like kind of just not saying anything except no more talks. And that was Trump's threatening before was we're not even going to talk about that stuff until after the election, indicating that they would try to just not have any more stimulus if people didn't elect him again. At least this moves it a little bit, but I don't know. It's all stupid, but
Yep.
it's all stupid in a very mean way, and it. I don't know how there's still so many proponents for keeping the system the way it is. It
Yeah, I
seems
mean,
so
I don't
fucking
know.
crazy.
There's I there's no way for uh I feel like there's no way for her or the Democrats to win in that situation because I mean, now that she's set this like ultimatum thing, of
Yeah,
course the messaging is going to be, well, she's holding out, like she doesn't even want to talk to us anymore. And that's what it was before, even when it was like
yeah.
the other way around. So like it really doesn't matter what reality is.
Hmm.
And like I don't know what the answer is. Should they just like not really should they not concede anything to actually get something that will help people, which
Right.
won't be passed because we do have a party that does not want to do that,
Well,
despite
this is
lying and saying that they do.
this is the argument that people have been giving for a long time for socialism is literally like if we don't have equality, we can't have anything done when we need it. And now we're watching that happen where we can't have anything done when we need it because it
Mhm.
doesn't benefit the people who are gearing the entire government to be for their benefit. They get the benefit of us being, according to the UN and others of that level, put into slave labor ourselves, but by the government and in a willing way that is just sort of like, oh, what are we going to do about it? Amazon workers should not be working. Like, that is a thing that at this point, with everything that's happened since COVID, but before that too, that shouldn't be legal for them to be doing what they're doing. But it is somehow, and they're doing it. So, I don't know. Like, that's why we need to change shit, though. Like, and there is one answer, and I think people are starting to come around to it more and more, and it's a general strike. Because you can take all the money away, and it's dangerous because of specifically if everybody doesn't go in on it, the higher a percentage of people don't, the more dangerous it is, because it creates a division of like fucking over people who specifically need more help. But it's sort of like anything else. Once there are enough people who are on board, a general strike can literally deconstruct all of the shit that they've done. Like, you can't have a stock market and the economy work the way it works if the people just say no. Like, that is the one truth that, like, the whole reason for police, that is the reason for police. You can't have a general strike if people come beat you up for it, because it makes everybody who needs it scared, and only the like active people get punished, so it makes it harder to do. But at a certain point, like, COVID is sort of a benefit to that, of like, I don't know, see if you can get yourself in a spot where you're as safe as possible. If you have to work, and then everybody else just sort of say no. Like, that's the actual answer. It's sort of a simple answer and sort of a terrifying answer, but also like, it's becoming less terrifying, and I think that that's why this is heating up so much. With people like, hey, they can't evict us if we just set it up right. Like, it's kind of becoming a thing now where I think that honestly the GOP is planning to lose. As much as that is like wishful thinking in some fashion that I don't want to encourage. I'm fairly certain they're not going to win. I think they're still going to put up a big fight to like make it seem like it's unjust. But I also think that that's why we're hearing talks of like trying to put as many wrenches into the economy as possible, is because that makes it more likely that people are going to focus on fixing that instead of focusing on doing what needs to be done, which is, no matter who wins, having a general strike to deconstruct the things that are actually fucking us over.
Right. It's harder to focus on the larger picture when you have immediate and dire needs that are a product of the way things are right now. And it is really frustrating that for a lot of people it's easier to blame like the Democrats or the brown people or just like some, I don't know, weird boogeyman, rather than recognizing the actual like systemic problems.
Right. And that's actually my boogie woman topic. Now that they've already kind of gone over the whole like Barrett is very into the idea of like revoking a lot of the stuff that protects women's rights. The other thing she's very into is revoking everything that doesn't privatize health. So like, basically she just wants to dismantle everything that isn't set up to be a capitalistic thing. And she's young enough for people to just trust her, because apparently people will just trust you if you're young enough to be like not a fucking old mutant in government. So that's frustrating.
It's like, so embarrassing that she's like a young and fresh face in US politics. There's no one else.
What, she's like 45 or something? Like, she's not young. She's just so much younger than everybody else in those positions that it's like
not 80.
Oh my goodness, our parents, they're so spry. Like, God. Cool.
We need more League streamers.
Yeah. Yep.
That's my platform for me.
If you're old enough to where you have never had your hair dyed a color or at least pined for it, maybe you shouldn't be getting elected anymore. Like we can't just keep putting people who are like the boomerist boomers into those positions and thinking it's going to get better.
I don't think I would trust someone who's never either contemplated or actually fucked up their hair before.
Yeah,
that should be a requirement.
If you haven't lived through a childhood that puts you in the spot where your inability to control anything around you hasn't encouraged you to control at least the way you look, maybe you shouldn't be in politics, because you need to have some sort of want in the world. You can't just be somebody who's had, if you've lived your entire life with the same haircut, don't go into politics. You should be a little weird and a little bit like fucked with growing up in order to like make it work a little bit. We should also maybe start learning a little more about people who are going to have problems with power, because I feel like there's a lot of personalities that we're very okay with putting into positions that we need to stop.
Yeah, kind of weird how these roles in society attract like the sociopaths among us, and weird how no one's really talking about that. But
a lot of if you listen to the wrong places, I would say, you can find a lot of like younger than 80 Republicans talking about like their life habits and like how they made it, because they're always like, if you listen to them, they're always defending like how it's not that they're rich, it's that they live the right way. Like that's a very big through line on like defending their position in government. But it's literally the same for all of them. It's always like, well, I just like I liked eating the same meal all the time. I didn't do this, or like I had a very like Spartan like way of life, which is never true. Like those people, even if you're like that one weirdo, I forget his name now, but he literally said that for like 20 years he always brought his own lunch to work, and he had like a ham sandwich every single day at work. And on Sundays, he would have a fancy ham sandwich. And it's just like, I don't know if that's true, but it seems to be true. And also, like, if that's the way you're living and that's what you think working hard is, you're just crazy. Like, there's a difference, too, between, like, being somebody who lived in a state where I couldn't afford food unless I did, like, some real radical shit. Like, if you actually can't afford shit, you eat baked potatoes. Like, you make things that are cheap. A ham sandwich is like, what? Like, somewhere between, like, if you don't want to live very long, it's like $3 bread. If you want bread that's actually, like, slightly not sugar, it's like $7 a week. Ham is not cheap. Ham is at least $14 a week if you're eating that much fucking ham sandwiches.
Sandwiches aren't like if you're making a good ham sandwich, that's not like a cheap thing to make. There are much cheaper options.
And if you're limiting yourself to ham sandwiches that, I'm going to say just the ham sandwiches, nothing else you buy is going to start running you probably like $80 a month. Like, yeah, that could be cheap for like somebody who has to like manage a lot of stuff and wants to save money, I guess, but you can't live off of ham sandwiches. Like, that is such a weird, like, it feels like building your own mythology, but making it the worst mythology possible of like, I've just made a ham sandwiches. Don't worry about this. That's how I made it big. Like, I don't know. Truthfully, I think people with a lot of wealth and a lot of like self-importance just don't know how to be regular ass people anymore. Like that's just kind of how it works. Anyway,
Yeah.
sort of a non sequitur to something that I want to talk about. I was looking today for Garfield creepypasta, and I I'm still looking, let's say. But what I did find was I'm gonna just tell you about this comic strip. It's been known of for a while, and sort of the spooky part is the passage of time, maybe. um, so I don't remember
Oh
what year
no.
this is from. This is like from around like 90. Like this is like 30 years ago. I never read
Mm-hmm.
this. But I found this and some other people found it a few years back and I just never saw it. So around then, and this is post Fat Garfield, like true, what I would call true legacy Garfield is like a Jabba the Hutt, and you barely
Mm-hmm.
ever see that. This is first iteration, like round friendly Garfield. Um, so this took place over 6 weeks because the way Garfield was released, people might be less familiar with now. I was only slightly familiar with it. Um, but Sunday paper comics were literally like the serialization of those comics was once a week you'd get one strip. And that strip was the finished in color version. And that was new each week but everything else was like a old repeat, like just sort of your weird TV like of yesteryear setup where like there's a bunch of syndicated shit, and then every once in a while, usually once a week, you would get a new episode of the X-Files or whatever to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how comics worked. At strip comics, not like full book comics, but some full book comics even work that way. There were like some hero comics and stuff that showed up in that sort of format. Uh, in like pages, you could get like weeklies from certain places too. Anyway, so this is partially super weird because a month and a half of time took place while this was coming out. So in the first comic, Garfield is waking up in a dark room uh, and complaining about how like it feels cold in the house, and then walks towards a lit doorway and says it doesn't feel right. That's an entire week's comic, and this is from the actual Garfield comic. Uh, Next, the following week, Garfield is walking through a abandoned house with all the furniture and stuff still in it, but like an obviously like weird abandoned house. And at the end of the strip, it's just him standing in the dark looking at the viewer saying that he's alone. And on the bottom it
Ooh.
says, "You have no idea how alone you are, Garfield." Another
This is
week
familiar.
passes. Yeah. Another week passes, uh, and it's Garfield looking around and being concerned that people have been gone for too long. And then it shows the busted up Garfield house with a for sale sign as the last image. Uh, the so this is the end of a month of strips now, uh, and it's Garfield walking around like rooms full of like their stuff that's all busted up, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about how he's discovered that the house has been abandoned for years. So what happened to him? And then the end of the strip is a three-piece that is him wondering what a noise is, maybe running towards a doorway and looking shocked. uh, so the start of the second month uh, is him rushing into a room that, so they did a lot of like full color like splashes for these. So
Yeah.
like oftentimes Garfield would be in a room, but that room would just be like blue, or that room would just be pink. Like a lot of like very pastel images. For whatever reason, I assumed the look of it was the point. He runs into a room at the start of this one and yells about people being home, and it's John and Odie with like his food, but all of the background, including everything that's not the doorway, which is black, is just purple, which is very uncommon for that. Uh, and then he runs to get the food. It all turns into an outline, and he's in a dark room again. And then the end of that comic says, locked fast within a time when he no longer exists, Garfield grapples with his greatest fear, loneliness. And then
Wow.
the last strip, uh, which is the 6th week of people seeing this, presumably mostly kids. Um, it's I'll just read this one because it's more wordy. It's after years of taking life for granted, Garfield is shaken by a horrifying vision of the inevitable process called time. He only has one weapon, denial, and then it's him thinking real hard, which is usually how they show him talk. I don't want to be alone. And then he opens his eyes and it's lit again, and it's John and Odie asking if he wants breakfast. And then he grabs John and says, "Who needs it? I need you," which is a weird Garfield take. And then the last half panel is just a word block that says, "An imagination is a powerful tool. It can tint memories of the past, shape perceptions of the present, or paint a future so vivid that it can entice or terrify, all depending upon how we conduct ourselves today." The end. So the reason why this is weird, before I get to the spooky part, is that if you read this all together, what it is implying is that John and Odie are gone, and that it's just Garfield's denial that makes them exist. Like he's denying the fact that he's alone, which is probably just poor writing or like unclear writing, but it is that's the only way I can see when I read through the whole thing that actually works out, which is a fun, spooky take by a weird old man who makes comics. Um, I like that. The spooky thing is that on the one place where I could find this collected, moving around the pages on it, uh, all of the ads are for like elderly aids. So like going to this this Garfield stuff, the ads that I'm getting are like how to like get better internet to communicate with your family, and how to, and ads for shoes that you can put on specifically without bending down. Which is like perfect for what this whole thing is about. Also, I don't know. It is it's not even that old of a page. Like it's from 2 years ago, or like a year and a half ago. Like, so it shouldn't have aged out quite as much as it did, but it definitely is completely ad targeted towards the elderly. So anyway,
Seems like it, yeah.
I wanted to share what was the closest thing I could find this time to a Garfield creepypasta, which is apparently just the March of Time. We will all be alone.
I have seen that before. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I when I was younger used to be really really into comics in general, so I had like all of the Calvin and Hobbes books and like all, or not all, but like some Garfield books, and I'm pretty sure that I had that one.
Yeah.
That series.
Honestly,
So
this
weird.
in the world of Garfield, this is like, ugh. In the world of Calvin and Hobbes, this seems completely commonplace.
Oh yeah, if this was Calvin and Hobbes, I would be like, this is Calvin and
Yeah.
Hobbes. But yeah, it is pretty out of place for Garfield. I wonder. I wonder if the author was like going through some shit.
I think he had to be. Also, like, if you know who Jim Davis is, he's like that man. The image of him tells a story in my mind, I feel like, of just a incredibly normal Midwestern dude who got good at something and recognized for something, and I think his entire life is that thing. Like Paws Inc., his company that he sort of has, that is basically just him with employees so he can have little shops and like stuff like that. Like it's incredibly successful, but I think that he is probably Garfield. Like that's his whole fucking life. That's it.
Yeah.
So I do not doubt for a second that this is just like him working through that exact problem. I don't even know if he's like ever been married, honestly. It's hard to say. He's married to the work, if nothing else.
Yeah, that would surprise me. I mean, that series of like thoughts kind of reminds me of every time when I was younger and I would like wake up from a nap or like suddenly realize that I was alone in my house.
Uh-huh.
And I would walk around and think that like, oh, the rapture happened and I'm the only one left. That was a constant thing that happened, but I wonder if that ever happened to him, and that's just him like working through that moment of his childhood. Just
I could see it. That seems completely
maybe
possible. I don't know.
working through his rapture scares.
I enjoy it. I like how real he at least tried to get with that one, even if I think what he was trying I think what he was trying to say was not that Garfield is in a imagined world.
Like I have a smoke alarm to quiet. Someday we'll get this fixed.
You quiet the smoke alarm, and I'm gonna get some coffee and make weird noises.
Okay.
Coffee! Coffee! I got it. Don't spill it. Come on.
Ew.
There we go.
No spilling. I walked over to silence the smoke alarm and heard the harmonica through the headphones.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out what it was. What the heck was that?
That happens with the banjo as well, which I enjoy. Or not banjo. I've been talking about banjos a lot lately. Anyway,
banjos have been a common topic of conversation.
I've been talking to people about banjos lately, but it's hard to say exactly why. Honestly, I've been talking to people about a lot of shit lately, and it's because we're all trapped in our goddamn homes and we don't have money, so we have to do something. And I guess that's talk about banjos and whether or not Garfield intended to say that Garfield doesn't exist or not.
You have to kill the sadness somehow. I bought new pillowcases. That's how I did it this week.
New pillowcases are great. Legit, all but one of my pillowcases have holes in them. So, like, that's just kind of the life I'm living right now. Like, they're clean. They're just,
Holy.
they won't be pillowcases forever.
Well, if you get holes in like strategic places, you could turn it into a very cool Halloween opportunity, like a ghost or something.
I only have one that's white, so
Um,
at least it will cut down on the Ku Klux Klaniness of it. But
that's true.
the purple ones might work. I have one that just looks like, it's one of the worst colors. Also, it was I used it as the top pillow for a long time, and it has like blood stains on it from like when I would get bloody noses more. They don't look like blood stains; they just look like weird little transparent circles that barely exist. But it's still like, it's not great. It's not like the best. um,
Yeah.
but my sleeping arrangement is a nightmare in the first place. So like, it works fine for me, but it's very economical and not very inviting, let's say.
Mm.
It's very comfortable. It is a massage table though, so kind of gotta take it for what it is. um, Getting message updates about people having conversations with people online in which a lot of the video is simply the fact that they have a very large waddle and they are doing a lot of chewing today. So uh, that would be a good Halloween costume.
It would be.
The worst Zoom partner.
I've been trying to think of good, like, low effort costumes that I could bring to the podcast for the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks. And I have some ideas, but I'm not really sure yet.
Honestly, given the way this year works, I think Halloween is going to be till the end of the year, just based on what I'm seeing. I think
Yeah.
that like Thanksgiving usually takes Halloween and throws it in the garbage, but that's not going to happen this year. Also, Thanksgiving is stupid, and then Christmas is going to exist, but is it? Like, Christmas is like self-care day this year, if anything, for my guess. Like, that's sort of my plan. It's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, on Christmas, I'm not going to do anything except what I feel like, but that's not
That's a
really,
good Christmas.
that's not really like an event. I mean, it is, but
Hmm.
not in the way that is festive, let's say. Probably,
Yeah.
probably festive in Mustache, the island that I play in Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah. That would be, that sounds like a good festive time.
Welcome to
Uh,
Mustache. What's Tom Nook's voice? It's probably like, hmm.
what is his voice? He doesn't really have a voice, does he? It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, that's probably his voice.
that kind of, that sounds pretty accurate, I think. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what, I think, for Christmas, I might make the effort to really like quarantine for 2 or 3 weeks and then maybe be able to go see some family.
Yeah.
Because this it's I feel really bad for old people right now for a lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
because like my grandparents have asked me multiple times to come and visit them, and I'm keep saying no,
Yeah.
that's a bad idea right now, and I don't want you to die, so no. And I'll say, well, I'm not really up to taking that risk, and they're like, well, we are. I'm like, that's, I don't know
Yeah.
how to respond to that. Like, I care about it. I understand that it's got to be tough, like mentally and emotionally. I totally get that, but it's like if I were the cause of my grandparents dying, that would be pretty difficult to deal with. And I don't really feel like
That'd probably put
doing that.
a real exclamation point on, I would call it, the rest of your life. uh,
Yeah, I think so. I think it would. So, yeah, I'll probably try really hard to like make that as possible as I can. Other than that, yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. Christmas is like maybe by then I'll have my own Switch, and maybe I'll Christmas I'll gift myself my own Switch, and then I'll get Animal Crossing.
Um,
We can
if
visit each other's islands.
if you want to be proactive, so after it was gifted to me, I was told about the situation. Apparently, this special Switch, the one that I got, there were 8 copies of it at the place they
Oh.
went to. And apparently they have shipped out like very recently. So if you want to invest in your personal future, you might actually want to try and like get like an online search in tonight, just to like
Yeah.
see. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because my understanding of your situation is that you don't have a lot of money, but you have enough to maybe invest in your future for a brief moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think if that is something you want to do, it might be worth it, because it is really nice to have something that does not require usage that takes away from like your phone battery or usage that requires another screen. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and especially with them now discontinuing the future production stuff on 3DSs, it's honestly probably going to pick up. Like, I think there's going to be more Switch stuff happening next year, so it's worth
Mm.
looking into. But obviously, only do what you're able to do.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I've been wanting one for a while, so I'll probably, knowing that, I'll probably take a look there tonight
Also,
or soon.
if you do end up getting one, I would also order a physical copy of Animal Crossing, because a Switch, you can put an SD card in and have like extra space, but Switches have like 30-ish gigs total, and um, things like Animal Crossing are, I want to say it's like 10-ish gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the fact that I have a physical one means I can have like a list of things to play on it. Because most things you're going to get on a Switch are a little under a gig. So they have plenty of space for stuff as long as you only have 1 or 2 larger games in with it. But if you want to not have to also buy extra shit just to be able to use it more effectively, it's a good idea if you know you want a game to be in there for a while to just get a physical one.
Yeah,
Uh, and that's
that
the end
makes
of
sense.
my buying corner. This will go up tomorrow, so I want to give you a head start if you decide to do it. But anybody listening to this, if you want to switch, it might be a good time to jump on it, because this was
Good
in
investment.
the middle of this week, is sort of when things seem like they got replenished a little bit. And then you can actually, it's nice playing it now after playing the version that was getting updated for like the first half of the year. In the summer, they added wetsuits, and you can now swim out into the ocean. And there's a new set of like ocean stuff you can find. So like,
cool.
there's also Pasquale, the otter. He comes and begs you for any like oysters you find, and then if you give it to him, he'll trade you a pearl and like recipes for weird shit. And that's been real nice having this weird otter man swim up and give me life lessons about sharing.
That sounds pleasant. I have heard my friends, my Animal Crossing friends, mention Pascal or Pasquale, whichever one.
Yeah, I don't know. Pascal, that's probably the correct. Pascal. He gives you recipes or pearls, and it's like once a day. But the recipes I've gotten from him are all like vanities and like fancy beauty equipment, which is kind of dope. So I'm trying to collect that up and make this character's house very like fashion oriented.
Ooh, nice.
I'm gonna go into my roommate's world and interact with my old character and get. I need to get my arcade machines. I'm gonna get a loan. I think I'm gonna get a little action from them, and I've got some good resources to kind of push into my game from there to make the time I spent a little more worth it. Because I got a lot of interesting shit from that run, and so far in this one, it's completely different stuff. Like I started off, and the stuff that I've been able to buy so far is like I have a smoker, like a meat smoker, in my weird tiny house, and I sleep on an inflatable couch, which looks terrible. I would not ever want one of those. It looks like I mean, honestly, it looks like a giant inflatable vagina lips. It's like a real weird, like a tube that's been folded in half, but it's kind of like this weird shape. And like my character jumps on it and like sleeps in the groove. Uh, and then like because I started when it was like the first month on Nyx, all of the spring and summer animals, I'm now dealing with all the fall and winter stuff. So I'm doing like they have like the great pumpkin-y kind of thing that I'm starting up. I'm planting a whole bunch of pumpkins, which I guess are seasonal, and it also looks like fall. So I'm kind of living my best Animal Crossing life at the moment. Very into it. Lots of dead trees.
This is the perfect time to get really back into Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Like I started up, and the very first thing I got was I had mail, and in it was a giant poster of the Pumpkin Man that glows in the dark and like throbs. So like to start with, my house was just a big weird Pumpkin Man poster. That's exactly what I want out of a fake house that a fake character lives in.
Yeah, that's a good way to start.
Excellent. And now I can, while I'm uploading tonight, I don't have to just sit and like listen to something. I can work on my my game business while I'm sitting here, which is fun. I haven't had new game stuff in quite a while since I got the hand-me-down PlayStation, so very excitable. It's a very early Christmas feeling over here this week.
That's awesome.
Also, I've only had it since I've only had it since like 2 days ago. I didn't even I got it on Saturday. For some reason my brain was like making that a week, but it wasn't. It was like it's only been like a full day.
Have
All
you
right.
just already played like a week's worth of Animal Crossing? And that's why. Who can say?
Uh, uh, you're supposed to you're supposed to already have a museum like on day 3, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's how that goes.
I I may have played for multiple hours yesterday, and it may have seemed like a lot. Uh, I checked my stats, and the max amount of wish upon a star thing you can do, like when a shooting star happens, you can like wish on it, and it
Mm-hmm.
populates on the beaches the following day, which is today for me. Uh, and the top award for it is wishing on 200, and I have 110. So apparently I did a lot of that last night without thinking about it. So yeah, I've definitely played more than is correct for a person. I guess that
for
was
for a game that's kind of like real time, it's so easy to spend. I could spend like 6 hours or a
yeah.
day. I could spend way longer than that just wandering around.
I also played until I got uh, like 3 smaller rooms and 1 big room on the one I was playing, and I have absolutely no fatigue whatsoever on this game. Like I started this one up and it's like I, I don't see a problem here. Like this is
That's awesome.
so it's a lot of fun. I would recommend it to everybody. Even olds can like Animal Crossing. It's very
Mm-hmm.
pleasant. It's like a cross between a casual like hanging out doing some tasks game like mixed with like a Saturday morning cartoon from like the 80s. Like it has a little bit of that like uh even though there isn't nostalgia in this really, like sure you can end up buying like a Nintendo, but it's like current stuff. Like my character has a Switch. Like it's not
Mm.
uh it's not playing on a ton of nostalgia just for what you're looking at, unless you're familiar with Animal Crossing. It's just kind of good. Like it's well made and very friendly.
Yeah. I mean the idea behind Animal Crossing of just having a small town that you get to do whatever you want in and
Yep.
talk to cute animals. I mean, that's just a good thing. It's a
Yep.
good idea.
Uh Yeah, nothing bad I can really say about it. Even their weird socialist capitalist system, I'm kind of into it. Like I like a version of getting what you put in out and it not being a big deal if you don't put a ton in, because that's fine too. You can have less stuff and hang out on the beach and nobody's going to be upset about it. Also, I'm building. I You get to pick out of 4 islands. You like pick one that just from the overhead map looks like it would suit what you like more. And I picked one that has a lot of beach and a lot of mountain and not very much other stuff.
Hmm.
So I've been putting up a lot of like beachside property for all of the various people who are moving in.
Oh,
It's
that's
pretty
cool.
exciting. My house is on the mouth of a river heading into the ocean, just sitting on the beach. Uh, Very pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, uh, I had one other non video game thing to talk about. Uh, are you ordering food today, by the way?
I probably won't be because
Okay,
I have some leftovers that need to be taken care of.
sounds good. I just wanted
Yeah.
to check because this is usually when we would be ordering. Uh, I'm also not ordering today, so that works out fine for me. I just will yell less during this episode and save it for next week. Um, so the other thing I wanted to go over is just a quick thing. frustration I had mostly with anti-vax people, like, is kind of par for the course, talking about how vaccines have a huge death toll that nobody talks about, and how protecting their children is all they're doing, and about it being like a will of the state issue. Like, well, you can't just give in. Like, we're protesting over state violence now. This is state violence, like that kind of shit. And a lot of those same people seem to be weirdly on the white supremacist president side when it comes to both the vaccine that he'll make sure is safe, and a lot of the other, like, what causes real death? It's not COVID, like that kind of bullshit. So I went through. This is just sort of a quick thing because I was annoyed and it was late, and this is sort of what I do when I'm like trying to get tired but not there yet. So I went to I think it's called Veers. It's like it's a data, like, science and data site focusing on like vaccine shit that is kind of shady, and it kind of focuses on making a lot of data look worse, so that basically it doesn't give any proof for anything. It just kind of says what it's going to say, and people in the scientific community kind of regard it as like it's propaganda, but it's also like you can't really do anything about it. Like, it's just sort of a weird capitalist. It's kind of like I want to labor.com or whatever. It's like it's a place that presents itself as though it is a labor community, like information about labor unions in general. And it doesn't really mention, unless you scroll to the very bottom and like look through their information, that it's actually like a conservative website cataloging a lot of labor information. And they present things like they list the head of the labor unions as the union boss, which is not the title of the head of the labor unions. Things like that. They present the like top 20 paid people in union structure, which make like it tops out at like 300,000 per year, and then like most of them make like in the 60 or so range. But it presents that like it's corruption, as opposed to talking about like what actual wages are for people who make a ton of money, not like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's that, but it's for vaccines. And so I went there and I took their information, which basically lists out, hey, like 2,000 plus people have major reactions to vaccines. Then you go a little deeper in, and it sort of gives you the information that, and by having a major reaction to vaccines, we mean these things have happened to people on like the day of or day after getting a vaccine, which immediately is like, that's nothing. And then you go down further and it breaks down what those numbers are in a very like, see, we're science forward kind of way, except even by their own data, they're listing for the amount of people who die per year on the day of or day after they get a vaccination, which is also like, that doesn't mean anything, but okay, is like 120. And then if you go to the government websites that just list births per year, and you look at the amount of people who are vaccinated per year, these are all three different, like, one is what the CDC for percentages, one is the government health stuff for births, and then one is this like sort of shady like place for like all of the negative effects. The amount of people born per year, it's like roughly like 3 point something million people, and then the amount of people percentage-wise that are vaccinated hovers around like 90%, down to like, I think it's like 76% or something for like one of the lesser ones. But like the main 7 things are all vaccinated around like 85 to 90%, usually around 90. If you take all that information and just very simply say like, well, if this is true, and this is true, just assume it's true. This is also taking all 2,000 negative things in the US, this is all for just the US, into account as the percentage of people getting, I'm just calling it death. Let's say 2,000 people die, which is 100% not true, but that's what they're trying to say in the anti-vax community. If that's true, let me get that number back up. I have it on my phone. If that's true, so what's the mortality rate on COVID roughly? Because I feel like people are talking about that a lot. It's what, like around like 1.5 or 2%, something like that.
Something like that. I feel like it's closer to 1.
Yeah. So, like that's a pretty scary number when it comes to something that affects this many people.
Right.
I'm just gonna hold up this this percentage once people stop texting every half a second. I'm gonna go ahead and hold this number up for what if the version of vaccination that is like what inflated by a lot, inflated by nearly it's like 20 times or more inflated. This is your percentage on death, which is having a reaction at all, which is having a reaction on the day or after, which literally could be anything. So I felt like that was an extremely simple and maybe impossibly clear version of like, if you're worried about vaccination deaths instead of COVID, it's ridiculous. Like that is not even close to the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Especially considering, like, if you really want to get down to it, there are approximately 0 deaths associated with vaccinations that necessarily have to do with vaccination as a process. It's like we need more safeties and not less. So like I think there was one that was like infants or very young people who have I want to say it was like potassium intolerance of some kind. That's like the leading cause of like issues when you get vaccinated, and it's like extremely unlikely, but it can happen. Like that's something you can test for. So anyway, that's all.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that in at the end. Make sure people don't forget that vaccination is good, because we're all going to need vaccination here pretty soon. And I don't want people to fuck us, because I feel like people are trying to fuck us again.
Right. Well, and not only that, but the reaction to there being cases, however limited or minimal, of like bad reactions to vaccines doesn't mean we need to cancel vaccines. It means we need to figure out why that was and do testing around that and figure that out, not just like blanket vaccines are bad.
Yeah.
Fear response. So
anyway, I personally am exhausted. So I'm going to say we should close out this episode. However, I'm also going to say that the right way to maybe close out this episode would be playing those 2 or so chords. I'm gonna go ahead and find the script for Man, I've opened some bad stuff. Expect bad stuff coming up. There's some choices I've made with looking stuff up. I'm gonna get one page of Twilight in as our final word. It's the page we ended on, and it's gonna be whatever happens. And I bet it's boring. I bet it's bad. But hey, that's the right way to
I
close this out.
agree. I think you're right.
And that page was what, 39? Yeah. I actually wrote it down this time. So let's go there. Also, this is pages in the document. If you're reading along with us, which I don't know why you would, it's technically page 33 of the script. And let's see. Yes.
You say 39? Is that what you said?
Yep. And I'm going to read to the first 2 lines of the next page so that we get to a transition section. Because at the first 2 lines and then the descriptive lines are a better ending than where we're at the end of this page.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get our spooky light on. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully the air quality stays the way it is. Having the window open is dope. All right. Interior, high school, cafeteria, on Bella's face during the day. As she pushes through the doors, she glances over at the Cullen table. Edward, with his siblings, he doesn't look at her. Anger and determination set in again as Bella joins Eric, Jessica, Mike, and Angela. She drops her book bag on the seat. La Push, baby. You in? Should I know what that means? La Push Beach, down on the Quileute Reserve. We're all going after school. Big swell coming in. And I don't just surf the internet.
God.
Eric, you stood up once on a foam board. There's whale watching too. Come with. La Push, baby. I'll go if you stop saying that. The salad bar station, minutes later. Bella artfully designs an architectural salad. As she reaches...
a salad bar at their school?
Yeah, she's designing an architectural salad. As she reaches for an apple, Edward is suddenly next to her. Edward, charmed. Edible art. Startled, she fumbles and drops the apple. Edward catches it with his foot, hacky sack style, then bounces it back into his hand. The red of the apple stark against his pale skin. He presents it to her with a small smile. Bella, thanks, but your mood swings are giving me whiplash. Edward, I said it would be better if we weren't friends, not that I didn't want to be. Bella, what does that even mean? Edward, it means if you were smart, you'd avoid me. Edward inadvertently glances at his 4 inhumanly beautiful siblings, who wait for him expectantly at their table. She notes her own very human friends monitoring this conversation from their table. Mike glowers jealously. And Fiend.
I would almost prefer that someone just let my apple fall to the ground rather than kick it hacky sack style. I feel like that does more damage than just letting it fall to the floor.
Is this foot? Oh.
I'm sorry, I was distracted by my inhumanly beautiful siblings.
Well, on that note, bejabbers.
And, oh, where's the cord? There it is. Be gone, thoughts.